Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Last week we were cutting the lawn, and as I was cutting the lawn I started smelling burnt grass or burnt leaves. Then I noticed I started seeing a little bit of smoke, and as I was finishing up the lawn it got really bad, and I thought I was losing the motor, but what turned out was I had like a grass fire in here. So somewhere, once I shut it off, somewhere in here, underneath where the muffler heat shield is, there's a bunch of grass, probably, I don't know, maybe some foam from a mouse stuffed under there, and some leaves and so forth, plus this oil, this caked up dirty oil with the grass got in there and probably started a small little fire. So I took the hose and immediately blasted it out, but what we're going to do is we're going to take off this cover, take a look and clean everything good inside there. Yeah, I just cleaned this out. We got mouse droppings, mouse fuzz, seeds. Yeah, the mice are back. I just cleaned this a couple weeks ago. Okay, so we got our carburetor plate and those two bolts. We'll just slide this off. I gotta take this breather hose and get that in there. It should come off like that. Well, that carburetor looks grungy, doesn't it? It's kind of black. It's a good idea that we're doing this. Alright, I got this breather line I gotta dislocate, so let me put you down. Well, I didn't have to go far. This is the breather tube. This is what I also call the mouse superhighway. They hop up on the flywheel, jump through this tube that goes into the airbox. But look at all that. Look at all that fuzz, cottonwood, and all cased in oil. So it must be all packed up in here and up underneath here too. All right. So now we know what the problem is. We got flammable mouse nests in here, so we're gonna take this shroud off, take the fuel pump off, and see what other screws that we can get to so we can remove this, and that should give us access to clean the backside of this whole thing. Alright, so here's the reveal. Got the housing cover off. There's a number of 3/8 inch bolts that hold it on, 2 on the bottom, 3 on the top, 2 on the side, but they're all 3/8. And then you're gonna have to take the coil. The coil's held in by 2 3/8, and you gotta take the coil out so you can get this whole thing out. But here's the problem: a giant mouse nest, and you can see that running full synthetic oil does cause some weeping. I don't know if I don't know where it was leaking. I think I was leaking from, I recently tightened it up, but I think I was leaking from my drain, and that wasn't tight, so when it was under pressure, I think the fan was picking up that oil mist and slinging it around. Here's why we had a fire. I say a fire, but I mean this is disgusting. This is cottonwood. So it looks like we're really gonna get in here and give this thing an old-fashioned cleaning. We gotta clean that whole thing up. Oil filter, changed that not too long ago. You can see that this looks good. That fin, that cylinder head looks good. All the fins are clear, but it's on this side. So I really want to take a look and see why things are so packed up on this. And this is all cottonwood and mouse crap and you name it. All right, so we're gonna carve into this and keep on cleaning. There's a temperature sensor here that holds this air thing on, air deflector. So we're gonna use this. This is a 5/8. Yeah, it's 5/8. So we'll take this off. Be careful. I've cracked these before. I want to be careful with these. Plastic covers start to come off on it. So I don't know how easy or difficult it is to get these if you break them. So there we go. Let me just take this out. Here's the ground. Alright, so this should free this up. Alright, so the hood's off, and here was our problem. Right here, that's where the smoke was all coming from. Ah! Oh yeah, that was sharp too. Yeah, that's all carbon. Hard, brittle, it was on fire. That's gonna create a hot spot. That's not gonna cool. That's gonna cause overheating problems, warped cylinder head, blown head gasket, any number of things. And it is just packed in here. All of this. Look at all this. Alright, we're gonna get the vacuum cleaner. It comes out pretty easy. I'm gonna vacuum up as much as I can, and then we'll use some degreaser. And then while we're at it, I think we're gonna take the breather off here. We'll re-oil that, clean it and re-oil it, and then let's take that carburetor off and give that a good cleaning too, since we're here and we can move around. Okay, we got some gunk on here, engine degreaser. Just gonna let that work, do its thing. This is the foamy kind. You can see it's got a lot to do, a lot of work to do here. It's a mess, but we'll get it all sprayed on and get her cleaned up. Alright, we broke out the power washer and got it all cleaned up. Everything. I think we got it all. Looking underneath here. Maybe a little grease under there. But not too bad. Couldn't believe how much was in there. So now these fins will get air passing through. I can see daylight, which I couldn't see daylight before. Got the breather all cleaned up, the outside of the carburetor. We're going to clean the inside of the carburetor next. Got to get a new fuel filter for it. And I may want to take this head off just to take a look and see how much carbon is on there. But I don't want to destroy that gasket, because then I have to go get another one. So I may or may not do that. But I can at least pull that spark plug out and see what it looks like. But everything cleaned up pretty good. Pretty happy with that foam degreaser. And I'm just going to go through and tighten everything. This breather screw was loose, and I was able to rock the breather back and forth, so I could have had a lot of oil coming out from there as bypass, and that would kind of make sense why it was all in this area here. So I'm having a feeling that that's where that was coming from. The top of the breather's good where the diaphragm is, but this whole thing was loose, and then here's an oiled wire mesh so it can breathe. Carburetor, yeah, that top is real dirty there. We're going to clean that up with some carburetor cleaner. Engine's running great, but I just want to get all that soot out of there and go through and tighten up everything, because I did find some loose bolts from the last of the rebuild. So we'll get on that right next. That plug's looking pretty good. So that's from the one that had all the fur all over it, but that plug looks pretty good. How many hours are on these? I gotta replace these. I got about 400 hours on these plugs, so I gotta get them out. So we'll be changing those too. Here's the other cylinder that's closest to the dashboard. And this one is the one that had the cylinder that was wrapped in all the oil and fur. They look the same. They look the same. So I'm really surprised how good those look. So they're burning, looks like pretty hot. I would say. See if I can get that to focus. But they look real good. So we're going to replace these, put some new plugs in, because like I said, we got about 400 hours on these too. Got new plugs. Champion RS17YX. Yankee X-ray. I just got to gap them. Here comes a plane. But they're in pretty good shape. Although you can see, I think you can see that. The electrode is worn on the right considerably. Yeah, so you can probably see how much these are the same plugs. That electrode is a little shorter, so it's gotten worn out. So good thing that I'm replacing these. Alright, we're going to get that tin back in and we're going to get these torqued in there. Alright, the only thing left to do is get a new air filter. This one's a little dirty, and the mice have had their way with this one. So I gotta order another one of these, but I'll just wash that. We're back together, we're all clean. I sprayed some starter fluid down there. We'll give it a turn, see if it works. Try it without choke. Oh, another one. Make sure my throttle is there. Oh, we gotta get fuel because I disconnected the fuel line. There we go.
Better airflow coming through here. That's like night and day difference. Get some seafoam.
Okay, we're gonna let that sit for 10 minutes or so. Maybe a half hour. That's what we'll do. And let that work on anything that's built up inside the combustion chamber. Those spark plugs work good. And the other thing that we're doing, or we've done, is we added some motor coat. Alright, we're letting this sit a while. We've done new air filter is on the way, so we're going to do that. We have a new fuel filter on the way. We're letting this rest for about 20 minutes just to make sure that that sea foam is in there good and can soften up any of that carbon that I didn't really see, but you never know. I didn't pull ahead because I didn't want to have to ruin that gasket. And I even polished up my top here, my little air cleaner top. Yeah, it's a little rusty, but it cleaned up pretty good. That rust is there since I bought it, but this little polish turned out real nice.